Hey guys, welcome on in. In this video, we are looking at the Freak the Mighty final exam and why. What's the purpose? Well, the purpose is to give you some nuggets, meaning some tips on how to do well on this final exam. And where we're going to spend a majority of our time is talking about the writing section, because I think the other parts of the test you'll do just fine. Of course, remember that you should have read the book before you open this up. So hopefully you finished the last 3 chapters, the last 13 pages, and you're ready to go. All right, what we're going to be looking at is a dummy question. Now, what that means is this one is just for the purposes of teaching. The question you'll have will be different, but this will give you a quick snapshot on what you need to do to be successful. Okay, so it's a 20-point final exam question. You only have 32 points in total, so right at the front end of this, I need to make sure that I emphasize the importance of following directions and answering this question correctly. Now, you're going to have a bunch of text before you start writing. Please look it all over, read it carefully. If you don't, you may not be successful. Now, at the front end of it, it says, which character in Freak the Mighty was the most static and why? Write a races response. Okay, so races, remember it means what? That's right. Restate answers, cite evidence, explain, sum it up. Okay, so that's what it means. And 1 or 2 sentence answers or partial answers without textual evidence will not receive any credit. So that means that you might end up getting a 0 even if you wrote a sentence or 2, because that's not what we're asking. We're asking for a races response. Okay, so key vocabulary today is static character. What's a static character? Remember, we talked about this at the front end of the unit. It's a character who changes very little or doesn't change at all during the course of a story. So it's like Dory from Finding Nemo. Remember, we talked about Dory being a static character. Questions to consider while you write. Now, these questions provided, these are not just provided so you can answer them one by one. They are there so that if you get stuck and maybe you don't know what to write, or maybe you need some sentence starters, this is to help you continue your writing process so you can finish your races response. Okay, so I don't want to see you go ahead and just do something like this, taking the question and then just putting it down here. Why do you think they never changed? I don't know. Right? So I don't want to see that. That's not what we're looking for. We want you to write a races response and use these as you need to. Maybe you won't need them at all. I don't know. Okay, so let's get back to what we were talking about initially. So which character in Freak the Mighty was the most static and why? I want you to pause the video for a minute and think about that. Okay, hopefully you paused the video and now you're back. I know there's maybe going to be some different answers out there, but my personal opinion is that it would be Killer Kane. But am I going to just say Killer Kane? No, I'm not going to say that, because that's not a proper restate an answer. Remember, restate an answer, I need to take that question and I need to restate it so that it is a statement. All right, so what we're going to do is say the character in Freak the Mighty that was most static was Killer Kane. Okay, now I'm going to ask you to pause the video again in just a minute, and I want you to think about why. Why would he be the most static character in the story? Okay, go ahead and pause the video, think about that, and when you get back, we'll discuss why. Okay, welcome on back. So hopefully you guys paused the video, took some time to think about this. Why was he the most static? Here's my thoughts on it. Now, at the beginning of the story, we know that Grim and Graham are terrified of Max. Why? Because they're afraid that he's going to grow up to be just like who? Like Killer Kane, right? And they're terrified of him because his father actually turned out to be a murderer. And as we've learned at the end of the story, he was actually the one who killed Max's mother. And Max was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder throughout this whole entire novel. And we never see Killer Kane become anything different than how everybody perceives him from many years before because of what he did prior to the events that take place in the novel. So now what I need to do is I need to find either an action or something the character said that shows that he never really changed. He was exactly what people always perceived him to be. So what I want you to do is pause the video and take a moment and try to find somewhere in the story, and I want you to be able to point to it. Where does it show that he really never ever changed? What action or maybe something he said, what would be good evidence to support that? Okay, go ahead and pause the video and find something in the book that could be used as evidence to support that. Hey guys, welcome back. Hopefully you took a moment to find some evidence to support the fact that Killer Kane might have been the most static, or actually we're saying he is the most static character in Freak the Mighty. Sorry, got to correct myself. Okay, so now you can see that I've added quite a bit here. So what we did is we needed to provide a good lead-in, because you're writing this for somebody who maybe hasn't read the book. So that's your intended audience, okay? So keep that in mind. So I mentioned this at the beginning of the story. Grim and Graham were terrified of Max becoming just like his father because his father was a cold-blooded murderer. And later in the story, we learn that their fears are probably warranted because Killer Kane proves he's still an unreformed beast. One place where the reader can see this is when Loretta tries to rescue Max, but her attempt is stymied when Killer Kane intervenes, and the author describes the action this way. He's squeezing her dead with his bare hands, and no one can stop him. No one, no one. And then notice we have Philbrick in parentheses with the period after, so that's a correct parenthetical. I'm not going to require a page number because one thing I forgot is this scanned-in copy does not have page numbers included, but I did pull the information from right here, okay? So you still need to provide information from the book, word for word. That's called a direct quote, and make sure you got quotation marks around it and a parenthetical. Okay, so now we've got that. Now the next step is to go ahead and explain the quote. So what I did here is I said this shows Killer Kane is living up to his name and reputation. He's nothing more than an uncivilized human being who will do anything to protect his own self-interest. To sum up, comma, Killer Kane deserves to be locked in prison for the rest of his life because he is a danger to others. Okay, so that's not a perfect paragraph by any means. I mean, I would love to go back and revise quite a few things there, but it is a good starting point and it shows you what you need at minimum. Okay, so I want you to take a look at this, study it, and then once you're ready, go ahead and get into the exam. But you do need a full paragraph for this, and like I said, it should definitely be one big block of text like that. Okay guys, thanks for tuning in and sticking with me. I hope this video helps you so you can be more successful with the writing portion. Good luck, and we'll see you again on Monday once you're finished.